Shanti. The title that we're looking at today is the 3 certificates of satisfaction. And Baba has talked to us about these from time to time, the certificates of satisfaction. And one is satisfaction with the self, and the other is that Baba should be satisfied with me. And that's not necessarily the order. You can change the order around when you're thinking about this. The third one is that the Brahman family should be satisfied with me, which is a two-way thing, because I have to be satisfied with the Brahman family too. So let us look at these, because Baba has said in several Murlis of this season that he's interested in satisfaction. So how do we understand what exactly Baba means by satisfaction, or we can say contentment? Whether contentment and satisfaction are the same thing, or whether they're two different things, that is another subject for churning. And of course it varies according to the language. Some of you are in different language groups, so your translators will be trying to figure out if they have 2 words, or if there's only 1 word, or if there are 3 words. Because in different languages, depending on the culture and personality of the people, so there are words. Because words represent something that you mean, not the other way around. I can't hear your question. In Hindi, there's so many words, and not only that, but together with Hindi we have Urdu. We have lots of languages. In the Brahmin language, English is there. Many languages are there in the Brahmin language. The Murli, if you would be a linguist, and you would identify which language the different words are from, you would find Farsi words, different Sindhi words are there, quite a few, and there's different kinds of English, and sometimes English is used differently in India from the way it's used in USA, and again differently from England. And then there are many places in the world where English is regularly spoken, but it's spoken differently. And one of the forms of satisfaction that we do have to acquire is satisfaction with language. You know that normally speaking, the classes are in Hindi, and then they go to who's ever up there in English. Then depending on that, the other languages are translated from English into something else. If it's Tamil or Telugu, they go directly from the Hindi, but the European languages go first to English and then to something else. And sometimes the speaker is speaking very fast, like me, for example, and then the translators have to be very concentrated to catch up. And so sometimes we may not get it right, or miss a bit, or misunderstand. There are many possibilities. And this is why sometimes you hear Dadi Janki particularly speaking about bhav. You heard that word bhav. And of course now we have to translate that, and some people say feeling, some people say intention. There are a lot of different ways to translate it depending on how what you think it really means. I see. And then you have to ask yourself, well, what does Dadi mean when she says, understand my bhav? Sometimes I think we should absorb certain of these words into our Brahmin language. If English is the main one that we speak, we can easily, like we've absorbed the word karma, we all know what karma is. It's become an English word. But in the BK world, there are other words which can easily be absorbed. And we know that bhav means what I mean to say. Do not listen to the words, but listen to the feeling behind the words, the intention, you see. And this focus on the intangible as opposed to the tangible is a very good yukti when you want to actually maintain a state of satisfaction. Suppose, for example, you want something from somebody who's busy doing 400 other things. So what will happen? They may be a bit sharp with you or a bit short with you. Have you experienced that? No, eh? Yes, you have. Of course you have. But the thing is, if you say, ooh, don't be short with me, then it's as if you're looking with too much short-sightedness and you're just seeing the impact of the environment on the person, the environment of having many, many other things to do at the same time. So it's important, in order to remain satisfied, to look beyond and behind that, to the fact that this person is actually including you as number 401 in that particular second. And if it's a bit short, don't take it personally. It's just that there's a lot of things to be done in a short period of time. And then you take what it is that you wanted with a feeling of contentment, that I got it. Not how I got given it, but I got it. Because after all, did you want it, or did you want it to be given in a certain way? Because the end result is the way in which you gave it disappears. The thing you wanted is what you stay with, isn't it? So it's a very, very good yukti to inculcate into oneself that I will be content with how I am dealt with. Sometimes people say, no, I don't like how I'm being dealt with. Have you ever experienced that? I want to be dealt with differently. I want to be the focus of attention, that there should be no distractions, that I am the one who's being spoken to sweetly, nicely, attentively, and for the amount of time that I want until I am satisfied. So it means I want that somebody will satisfy me. This is the Lokic way. And many, many times we will get that, especially when the relationship is new, because in new relationships people do give a little bit more special attention and a little bit more welcoming, a little bit more concern. They want to make the person feel happy, all these things. And after a while, they say, oh, well, you're a family member now, so we don't have to stand on ceremony. If somebody says, can you give me, pass me the sugar, they'll just pass you the sugar. They would say, oh, here, would you like sugar? You don't need that after a while. In the beginning, oh, you're treating me like a queen or a king. But after a while, family feeling means you don't worry about that sort of thing, because what you wanted was the sugar, as a simple example, Politeness. We like politeness. But at the same time, as you know, takes a lot of additional attention and energy to have that level of politeness with everyone that comes when the cycle is speeding up. Have you noticed? Everything is happening very, very fast. And so the transformation that I think Baba is looking for us to have in our dealings with each other is I will be satisfied, not you will satisfy me. You know, it's different. So however you are treating me, I will look beyond the immediate, oh, this person is too busy for me or whatever, but I will see the larger landscape, and I will understand that though I may want 10 minutes of your personal time, in terms of the practicalities of it, if I can get what I need in 10 seconds, let that be okay. Because after all, we have to understand how to get our needs met in the most efficient way possible. And if we get disturbed by things being too short or too sharp, then it reduces the quality of our relationship. But it doesn't particularly change the fact that I got what I needed. I got what I needed and the relationship went bad. Or I just got what I needed and I let it be whatever it is. I am satisfied. I got what I needed. And this is a useful yukti to have, because as we can see, the family is getting bigger. The world stage, the Brahman world stage is getting bigger. You know, now I'm here and there's at least 10, 12 feet of stage, and then there's a camera where we never used to have that, and then there's stairs, and then there's you know, so it's very far away. Where previously it used to be right here. In the early days we used to meet Baba like this. Just 4 feet away was a little far, you know. Now we're lucky if it's 40 feet or 400 feet. But Baba, with his divine magic, satisfies us, you know. And I think this is one of the areas where yoga power comes in. Yoga power is a mysterious thing, or the power of the mind, how it works and what it does. It's very, very secret. But we must make sure that it doesn't remain secret, but penetrate that secret and understand what is that thing that Baba is talking about, and how can I, with my attitude, feeling, and capacity to understand and not take things personally, how can I extend a radiance of satisfaction so that not only I am satisfied, but the feeling of satisfaction extends in a very far distance. See? Because how we take things becomes a fact, and the facts themselves we never see just neutrally. We always see them in the context of how we take them. You see, like for example, you could say, oh well, it's warm. Somebody else will say, no, it's not warm. You haven't seen warm. Believe me, you haven't seen warm. Here in Shantivana it gets very hot. This is not hot. You see. It's relative. And when things are relative, then it means it's as if we have a needle on a dial, and we have the power to place that needle pretty much where we want. And we can say on our dial that it goes all the way from totally dissatisfied and fed up to content, satisfied, I'm okay. And this is also why Baba has given us the knowledge of drama. And as time goes by, and the Brahman world gets bigger, and the Brahman stage gets bigger, and the number of people gets more, we have to do things differently. I went up to breakfast this morning and I saw at least 100 people I had to say hello to within about 30 seconds. Can't be done. So somehow or the other we have to find a different way of interacting with each other with satisfaction when the scale changes. And I think one of the things that helps a lot is to say to the self that I am satisfied. I will be satisfied. If somebody goes past me, instead of saying hello to me, they also have 100 people to say hello to as well. And if they miss me, I can't say, oh, they don't like me. What is this? Somebody else is more important, you know? That kind of thing. We have to be easygoing about it. And I think internally it's very important for us to identify what are our needs. Needs doesn't mean I am needy. But what do I need? What is necessary? And whatever is necessary is going to change according to circumstances. But what is necessary? It's necessary to have somewhere to sleep. It's necessary to have something to eat. It's necessary to have water to drink and to wash in. You know, basic necessities are necessary. If you haven't got what's necessary, then there is disturbance inside. Now, if we think, well, I have to have a certain kind of place to sleep, with a certain climate and a certain bedding and a certain lighting and a certain all these things, and I start adding things that would be nice, but I can manage if there's less. Then where do I keep my needle of satisfaction? You know? So I think part of the practice of satisfaction is to be able to manage with less than what we thought we needed. And what that will do, it's a kind of renunciation. Not the kind where you give yourself a hard time, but it's the kind of renunciation that actually reduces your discomfort. Suppose you say, well, I have to have my own room. But if you open up space for a couple of other people to be there, then you aren't comfortable. If you don't open up space, then you will remain very uncomfortable. When you open up space to include another person or a noise, or I think probably the greatest act of love is to sleep in a room when somebody's snoring. Isn't it? I remember I experimented with this one time, that I was asked to sleep in a room with somebody who snores really strongly. I mean, very, very major snoring. And I said, oh dear, no, I'm not going to make this. I'm never going to be able to sleep, So I said, but I have to get up early, I have to sleep, so what shall I do? So I said, all right, we'll just love, you see. And I found that experiment was very helpful. Now, some of you may be sharing a room with a snorer. Anybody? You don't know yet. Well, okay. This is what you do. You have to be very, very loving to include that person. Because if we dislike something, and this is also something Daddy Janki has been teaching us about, that never say you don't like certain something. And of course, snoring, who's going to like that? But we have to think, no, I really, really love this person, and everything, whatever it is that they do, I also love that. I will allow them to be whatever it is that they are. What that means is I am not going to resist a particular thing. I'm not going to wish that they would not be like that and they would be quiet or whatever. You see? You will find this is a very, very good act of charity for which you get the return, which is that they don't bother you. They really don't bother you. And it doesn't take away your sleep. And because you have loved them, yeah, and not had any negative thought about them, that, oh, they shouldn't be snoring, there's no, they could take an operation, all this waste thought, which happens in the night when you're not sleeping because somebody's snoring. You can be free from all that with this loving nature of accepting the person or persons. You might have 2 or 3 snorers who don't snore in time with each other. You can imagine how that is. And I remember one time I had to stay in an airport and they said, oh, go to the VIP lounge. So I said, oh, that's nice, okay. Because normally I'm in what they call the back of the bus. But so I said, okay, I'll go there. And there was about 200 businessmen, every single one of them snoring. Because I think the plane was very delayed or something. I stayed there for a while and I was astounded that none of them were bothered by each other. They're in the business suits and the briefcases, and so I thought, this is one of the areas which is sort of neutral area to talk about, because people get dissatisfied with other behaviors of other souls, isn't it? You have to live with people in close proximity because the people are more and the world is small. So this power Baba has given to us as part of our birthright, the power of accommodation. We have to accommodate people's different approach to things, Sometimes we think there's only one way to do this, and that's my way, Of course, there are many ways to do things. But because we do things in a particular way, then we think that's the only way. So another way to get satisfied is to think, well, this is how I do it. How do you do it? Oh, you do it that way. Okay. I would never have thought of doing it that way, but okay, you see? We have to find a way to let it be all right for people to do it their way. Just to go from here to Ahmedabad, there's 4 or 5 different ways you can go. There's the way which has peacocks on it, there's the highway, there's a couple of in-between ways which have a greater or lesser number of trucks, camels and other such traffic. So depending on how you feel or your nature, you will select a way. If you go the highway, it's quicker. If you go the pretty way, it's prettier, but it's longer. And it's like this with each other. There are many different ways to do it. And part of being able to be satisfied with others involves really understanding them and giving them the right to be who they are in your own mind. And I find this a very, very good yukti for satisfaction, to give someone full permission to be whatever it is that they are. I think one of the obstacles in spiritual practice is a tendency, perhaps an unconscious tendency, to correct everything and everyone in sight. Have you come across that? You may not be the one that's doing it, but maybe the one you live with is like that. And it's stressful for other people, you see. And the person who's doing that, they think this is better. And the person who is on the other end of it, they think this is stressful. And then there's dissatisfaction, because the one who wants to change you is not succeeding, and the one who's resisting getting changed is being stressed out. And so there's dissatisfaction on both sides. And Baba has often said that change will only take place when I change. So the sanskar of making other people change is actually an unproductive one. Nobody has ever changed because somebody wanted them to. It's the analogy given for this is straightening the dog's tail. You can straighten it out, and as soon as you let go, it curls up again. And this is the sanskar, you kind of force people to be a certain way, and they'll do it as long as you're applying force. And as soon as you let go, they go there, whatever they were before, It's a very common parenting practice, Kids have to be this way, and they don't like that. They want to be some other way, so they'll resist. Then it becomes an adversarial relationship. That's very tiring. How much energy do we have to live like that? So Baba has provided us with many, many other ways to do things. And especially Baba has given us powers which allow us to do things differently. Because we need to approach it differently and have more power to do it, and the willingness to do something new. You must have noticed Baba's all the time asking us for some newness. Even in today's Borg message, Baba was asking for newness. Give the experience. Sometimes Baba has said, we've heard it all, we've heard everything. Now we want to feel it, we want to see it. So when a person actually works on themselves and doesn't do anything else at all, forget about trying to do anything. Take out the word trying to do from the dictionary and just deeply go inside and work on the self. Your whole world starts to fall into place when you do that. But in order to maintain that, we have to keep up the yoga. Now, it's a very paradoxical situation, because truly we do very well when we do at least 3.5 hours of yoga a day. Have you experienced that? 3.5 hours of yoga a day, it's great. You have a good stage, you're not exhausted, but then you can't do all the things that you think you have to do and do 3 hours of yoga today. Have you found that? Because you have a list. Once I looked at my to-do list, I was in LA in my office, and I said, I can't get very far down this list. So I thought, well, let me see how long it would take to do each one of these things. And I found that if I would do everything that I put on my to-do list, all of which were necessary for a normal day's activity, it would take about 78 hours. So I said, oh, that's why. And we don't have 24. And even if you try to cram everything into 18 hours, which is about the maximum you can do while you're still young, it's still, you still have a feeling that it's out of balance, you know. But if we focus on the yoga end of the balance and really make sure that we edit out unnecessary stuff, or maybe somebody else can do, but to keep the meditation, keep the meditation going. I think that if we can make sure that we have our Amrit Vela fully 45 minutes, and if we're very sensible, try to do a full hour, and try to have all the traffic controls 3 minutes every so often. There's about 5 of them. And have some meditation before the Murli. It's actually quite manageable to start meditation about 10 or 15 minutes before the Murli, in many cases. And if you do an hour meditation, 6:30 to 7:30 or 7 to 8, something like that, make a serious break between the work day and the last part of the day. And just a few minutes before sleeping, then you can maintain a very good stage. And you can maintain this state of being internalized. One of the things that creates dissatisfaction unnecessarily is when the stage is a little down, instead of doing yogdan, you have yog down. It's a useful little slogan to remember. Don't allow the yog to become down, because then you can't do yogdan. Yogdan means donation of yoga. Donation of yoga means that your radiance is radiating. Because when your radiance is radiating, your stage is good, you're creating an environment in which things work out. When the yoga is down, you need much more time and energy to get the same things done. And this is the thing that creates the feeling of pressure of time. So, and you can experiment with this, and you will find that by maintaining the stage of yoga, the link with Baba is such that suppose you're supposed to go somewhere, but all of a sudden that thing in drama turns out not to be a good idea. If your yoga is good, you'll get the touching. Don't need to do that. And later on you'll find out didn't need to do it. If the yoga was down, you go and do it, find it's not there, come back. How much time is wasted? Baba gives us signals all the time. I remember one message that Baba had given for me a long time ago. And in that message, Baba had said, Baba is always with you. This is a very, very good yukti. Because if Baba's always with one, then why not with the others? And you see the picture of the gopis, every single one of them has a Krishna. So they thought he's omnipresent. But if our yoga is good, then we can maintain the feeling that yes, Baba is with me. If the yoga's down, you forget Baba's with you. Then you start operating as if he's not. When the yoga is good, you feel Baba is with me. And then everything goes well. And Baba had said recently, before you do anything, invoke the presence of Baba into that activity. And then this I problem is out. There are many occasions where some responsibility will land in your lap, and you may get the waste thought that, oh, I have to do this. Have you ever had that thought? I have to something or another. Oh, I can't do because I have to. I have to, I have to, I have to. This word or this phrase, I have to, brings the stage down, reduces the radiance, reduces the constant inflow of energy, because we need to have that constant connection, that constant feeling that Baba is with me. And then whatever has to get done will get done. Whatever doesn't have to get done will disappear. Then we are having a good harmony between Baba, drama and I, which is a 3-dot thing. Because whatever is in drama, only that will happen. There are moments when drama gives us choices, and we have to make the right choice for it to be a smooth sailing experience. When we have the right connection, we make the right choice. That's an intuitive thing. And we cannot want Baba to, create an enormous board and saying, don't do this, do that, because in that case there's no value of the personal effort. But personal effort lies in maintaining the connection so that I pick up what really I'm supposed to do. Like for me this morning, I had a choice. I come down, I don't come down. I thought I'd come down. I was supposed to go up 9 o'clock. Miraben said, no, you come do the class. All my activities of today wouldn't happen. I thought, what shall I do? I said, okay, I'll do it. So at every time we have choices. You see? Even Srimad is a choice. Will I produce a pure thought, or will I have a waste thought? That's a choice. You get situations which come suddenly, and then you're thrown back upon yourself, and you have to decide, how am I going to take this thing? It's a choice. The more we have yoga, the more we're aware that we do have choice. We could take it badly, we could react, we could be creative. There's a lot of things. We have 1 second in which to figure it out. And you know that our last exam is an exam of 1 second. But a second is really quite long. When you're body conscious, it's very short. But when you're soul conscious, it's very long. It's still 1 second. But even time, you see, is very relative. How you are interacting with time. When you're soul conscious, you have a second. So you just hold for a half a second to decide what you're going to do in the other half of the second. You will do, you won't do. If thought is disturbed, it's very difficult to take advantage of the time that is given. And then instead of making a choice, we act according to old sanskaras. Not just sanskaras, but old sanskaras. Old sanskaras means we do the wrong thing, we regret it, we mess it up, and it disturbs us. All those things in 1 second. Whereas if we keep our stage up, keep our yoga up regularly, and in that practice of yoga, as we had in the Murli this morning, storms will come. Is it a sin? Storms will come. Cool them down. Even when a storm is coming, we have the chance and the choice to say, oh, storm, okay, but I am peaceful. From your subconscious, all kinds of thoughts will come. They're triggered by circumstances that are linked to old sanskaras. They trigger the storm. When we maintain our yoga, then we exercise our choice and we say, oh, that one, I don't think so. Let me remain cool, at least, be a cool yogi. You know? Then, you see, you're satisfied with yourself. When you blow it, how will you be satisfied? It's not possible. And so this obsession almost to get things done is a deceptive sort of thing, because it prevents us from maintaining the stage, maintaining the yoga. Why do people want to do a lot of things? A number of reasons. One of them is you feel obligated. So you have to look within yourself and see, are you that kind of person who feels obligated to do all the various different things that come up, or the different ideas that you have? Just because it's a good idea doesn't mean you have to do it. I remember one time Daddy Janki was giving lots and lots and lots of things to do, and I looked at her and I said, Daddy, oh, she said, it's only recommendation, it's only suggestion, you just do what you want, you know. I said, oh, okay, that's easy, you know. But the feeling of being obligated to do everything that comes down the road, or everything that you can put on your to-do list, no, that's just the first stage. Here are a big chunk of things that could be done. We have to prioritize them. And we know that only the ones that are in high priority will get done. And so we have to be ready to let go of all the things that are actually not highest priority. And let that be okay. Many things take care of themselves. We are not here to be, the doings. We are the beings. And then a very good thing that Baba has been talking to us about lately is thinking about being an instrument. I am the instrument. Baba is getting done what he wants done through this instrument. Instrument consciousness. I know one thing, that in the Western world there is a resistance to that. Because God is working through me. That's ego. But Baba is getting done what he wants to get done, and I'm just the instrument. That's soul conscious. It's the same, but the opposite. So, how do we develop instrument consciousness? Because if Baba is to be content with me, then surely that will happen when I am doing what Baba wants. And Baba simply wants the soul to be happy. The father wants the child to be happy. The teacher wants the student to enjoy the study and progress. The Satguru wants the follower to be free. The beloved wants the lover to be happy. Baba, if we make Baba our whole world and nothing is missing, then what will that be? That will be we are satisfied. See? So for Baba to be satisfied with us, we have to understand this thing. If our intellect is unsatisfied and we go off into other things, or we mix up our needs with our desires, then we will look for satisfaction in some source other than Baba. And then there will be the feeling that Baba is not satisfied with me. Because beneath all of that, I am not receiving or looking for satisfaction from Baba. I'm looking for it in other places, you see. Which means that I am reducing by quite a big percentage the possibility to be in a satisfying, mutually satisfying relationship with Baba. But it's a deep thing, you see, not a superficial thing. So it takes a bit of churning and a bit of practice to figure out how can I do whatever it is that I do and still remain close to Baba. Because if you feel far away from Baba, then you think Baba's not satisfied with me. Now, I tell you one thing that's a difference between Bharatvasis and Westerners. Very, very intriguing difference, which only came up recently. Dadi Gulzar, I think it was, she was giving a class and she was saying that double foreigners, when they go and sit in front of the translight of Brahma Baba, they feel, now he's smiling, he's frowning, he's happy with me, he's not happy with me, he doesn't want to talk. Do you feel this, yeah? Do you feel this, yes? But they don't have that in Bharat. I think we all have that, yes? Does anybody not have it? You go in front of Baba, he's there, right? He's alive and there in the picture. Do you feel that or not? Give me some response. Yes. Okay. I'm not a mind reader. And then I said, yeah, me too. I feel, Baba's happy, he's not happy, whatever. And then Bharatvasi said, no, this is your imagination. I said, it's not my imagination. He comes. No, they say, it's your imagination. I said, you mean you don't get that? No, we don't get that. Okay, we do. Yes. I don't know. I don't know. But then think of this, that we are very specially favored, because Baba says, oh, they're very far away, so I have to come to them, And so it's been said a few times that the translight of Brahma Baba is simply a two-dimensional body. Otherwise, human body is three-dimensional. But if he can come through three-dimensional body, he can come and smile at us through two-dimensional body. What do you think? Why do we go to Baba's room? Do we go there to meet Baba, or do we go to look at a portrait? We go to meet Baba. We meet Baba through that portrait, or we meet Baba through Dadi Gulzar. Baba comes down and speaks to us. Many people, they see Brahma Baba's face in her face. Do you see that? I see that. And not only that, there's amazing light of Shiv Baba coming through too. So yes, obviously it's Baba, it's clearly Baba, it's visible. And some people, they say, why is he wearing a sari? So it depends on your yoga, your perception. What is really in front of us? Are we looking at the objects, or are we looking at beings? Are we objects, or are we beings in these bodies of ours, you see. So the more we maintain our connection with Baba, the more I, the soul, am with Baba, it's easy to be satisfied with the self and feel, you keep Baba close. And I think that the more the Brahman family is growing, the more this big stage is growing, it's not going to be possible for us to take satisfaction on the physical level. Maybe in the past we used to have something, we don't have that anymore. Will I be diminished by that, or will I adjust to that situation? It depends on me. It's entirely up to me. So the soul, the most satisfied soul, I think, is the one who knows how to look after themselves. And I remember long, long ago when Didi was there, Bari Didi Manmohini, was looking after the yagya along with Daddy Prakash Mani, and she left the body in 1983, so many of you may not have met her. But she wrote me a letter when I first came in Gyan, and of course it was in English, so she had told someone to write it, and she said, "God helps those who help themselves," which is a very well-known phrase, but written with the intention that this soul who had come from foreign countries, at that time there was not very many people from foreign countries, and so her intention was, make sure that you look after yourself, because then it's very, very easy to stay with Baba, for Baba to take care of you, because everything is a two-way process. We are not passive yogis, we are active yogis. We remember Baba, and Baba reciprocates that remembrance, you see. If I think, I'll just stand here and hope for the best, and Baba has to make me have an experience, that's not very developed. That's not a relationship, that's a passive thing, you see. We have to be active. We have to pick up the intellectual phone and dial 0 and say, "Baba, I'm here, hello." And he will say, "Yes, child, you have come." Like when today Sister Mohini went to the subtle regions to offer bhog, and she was there and Baba met her. It's a relationship. And though it can be done in that subtle way, through the subtle body, but behind that is the yoga, what we call as the yoga of the intellect. You may be wondering, what is the yoga of the intellect? Is there a difference between yoga of the mind and yoga of the intellect? Have you thought about that? Yes, no? Start thinking. It is an interesting thing to churn on, Because the mind is more of a sense organ, a very, very subtle sense organ that can receive the experiences, whereas the intellect is the one who goes. It's the directional angle of the intention of the soul to go somewhere, and then the mind receives the blessings, the experiences, and the soul is nourished by that. But the yoga of the intellect means that I have to put forward the thought that I am a satisfied soul. This question of mutual satisfaction between myself and the Brahman family, because that too is a two-way process. I must be satisfied with the Brahman family, and the Brahman family must be satisfied with me. That is connected with the practice of harmonizing sanskaras. And it's a very deep thing. In a way, it's very simple, but it has many layers, and so it can be considered also as a complex and beautiful tapestry, the Brahman family. And I am a thread in there, you see. Now, suppose a thread gets pulled. You might have seen those woven shawls with pashmina shawls with beautiful patterns. Have you seen those? And lots of different colored threads, all making very beautiful classic designs. If one of those threads gets pulled, then it messes it up, isn't it? So the thing is this, that sometimes we get pulled to something else, and it affects the whole fabric of the Brahman world. And so naturally there is a tendency in that fabric to attempt to restore its natural, beautiful pattern, its natural, beautiful integrity. So you will experience the pull of the fabric on you, and the fabric will experience your pull from it. And the perfect tapestry is when no pulls are felt, and that is, in a way, the description of the karmatit stage. Om Shanti.
अपना गगन अब तो अपनी ज़मीं है, तू मिल गया तो फिर हमें क्या कमी है, हमें क्या कमी है। कितना हसीन लगता हर एक नज़ारा, साथ तुम्हारा कितना है प्यारा, साथ तुम्हारा प्रभु